Okay, so here's my initial response to the recent autumn budget announcement by Labour and Rachel Reeves. So while the 2024 budget brings several changes that, at first may seem daunting, I personally think there are reasons for property investors to maintain an optimistic outlook. Firstly, looking at the potential for long-term growth opportunities. So with the announcement of significant investment of over £5 billion into housing, this suggests a focus on expanding the housing supply. And this can help spur long-term growth in the property market. This investment should also lead to new developments and opportunities for property investors. We also know that new developments naturally lift up the prices of surrounding properties. So focusing on areas where this is likely to happen would be a good strategy. We can also look at, the potential for stability in the investment landscape. With the announcement of unchanged rates of capital gains tax for residential properties, this means that long-term investment strategies remain stable. This provides a predictable tax environment, allowing investors to plan for the future without worrying about sudden increases in tax liabilities on their property gains. Also, with the outlook for rising demand for housing, the government's commitment to increasing the housing supply, this will likely lead to the rise in the housing demand. And this can drive property values and rental rates upwards. So this would actually be beneficial for investors holding properties, as they can potentially see an appreciation in the property value and higher rental yields. Then if we touch on the increase in stamp duty, rising from 3% on second homes up to 5%. So on this basis, I would say now is a good time more than ever for investors to focus on quality properties over quantity. Shift your strategy towards acquiring properties with higher potential for appreciation and rental income as well. This will likely lead to a more sustainable investment approach, focusing on long-term profitability, which is something that I am very big on personally myself anyway, and I always recommend. But look, overall, given these points, property investors should focus on strategic planning and possibly diversifying your portfolios to adapt to the new market conditions. Adjusting your property investment strategy to align with these new government initiatives and announcements, that's not only going to mitigate risks, but also potentially capitalize on new opportunities presented by the budget changes. So overall, I suggest focusing on long-term holds of good quality assets. Lastly, although there is some pain in the new budget, I do actually agree with what the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, said about, this budget will permanently increase the supply capacity of the economy, boosting long-term growth. So overall, I believe the country's economy is set to benefit from this, which in turn will benefit the property market and property investors.